Alright. Yeah. What's that? Alright, so this, my whole goal of this is to do a basic, when I say basic, I mean the reason I'd actually care about using something basic, understanding of focus. First off, yes, my kid looks like a freak show, kind of the goal. Alright, anyway, you start off, well, we'll start off with Naramon. Naramon isn't exactly the best thing ever. The only thing it is useful for, and I mean only, these are both useless. These are useless. Actually, these aren't. That's not useless, but it's still pretty terrible. This ability right here, and this one right here, because it'll allow you to level up your melee weapons faster, which is, I mean, it's a small perk, but whatever. This allows you to keep your Blood Rush ability going just pretty much infinitely, because typically you have like just that one like 10-second gap where there's not enough enemies around, and you end up breaking your combo, which loses Blood Rush. And Blood Rush could climb to, I want to say the top you could reach is like 9.5 times, which is huge and would take forever, but it's still possible. But Power Spike's the thing that would allow you to do that, and so it's like almost exclusively for melee users. It's not even that good for melee users. Like that's useless. Then these are, well, Finisher could be useful, but it'd be useful for like your teammates, like you cast it and then be done. That's the other thing. They tried making kids, like your actual operator form, more useful by adding these abilities, but they really don't do enough for me to give a crap. And your kid is just so fragile, who cares? Like, it just takes them looking at you funny and you're gonna die. Alright, back to it. I guess we'll go next one, Madurai. Actually, no, we'll go back to Madurai in a second. Zeneric will come in handy first. Zeneric, for anyone that doesn't know this, is for casters. It is one of the best things if you want to make a build that goes heavily into casting abilities like Saren. If you want a good Saren, you're going to need Zeneric. Reason for it is this right here. Energizing Dash. Void Dash creates a zone of energy for 8 seconds. Allies passing through the zone gain 5 energy a second for 30 seconds. So, basically, for 38 seconds, you get 5 energy a second, which is huge, because 5 energy a second is, you pretty much get to cast by the time you're done with most of your cast. Like, it's a ton of energy to have just flowing into your character at all times. And so, well, it doesn't work. Hang on, I gotta specify. It works similar to Energy Siphon. It won't work with like any channeled ability, and it won't work when you have like any other. Well, not. I guess that's still channeling. Let's say something like Volt Shield. Like, you shouldn't be able to work there. Ember's World on Fire won't work there. It will work, for instance, I use a mag build all the time, or you use Polarize. It'll work if you have Polarize bubble going outward doing damage. It'll work with abilities that have, like, for instance, Equinox is really weird in the way she works. She has a channeling ability, but it's only technically channeling when enemies are within range. So if you cast that and then jump into it while there's no enemies around, you'll still regain energy, which is really goofy. And I don't know if they're going to start patching some stuff like that, but they might. So look out for that. Yeah, that's a big one. Energy Pulse helps as well. It's not as much, but it's still a decent chunk of bonus energy every time you get some energy. That's alright for melee users. Increased melee channeling efficiency. The moment you throw on Life Strike, though, the odds of being a melee channeling build are like 0, because it costs way too much. And then these are alright for Eidolon hunting, and that is literally it. That's the only time I've used these is for Eidolon hunting. Alright, and then onward and upward. Vazarin. Vazarin is really, really good for support. 2 things. 1, Mending Soul is instantaneous revives. which is
Tenno,
huge.
there's a time
if you're
limited
doing
mission
anything
alert.
level like 100
Check
or
navigation.
ridiculous, or if you're going Eidolon hunting, or if you're going, if you're like, well, I guess the planes, you got like those mortars inbound, you just hit X, run the hell away, or B, or whatever you got the buttons at too. Mine's X. Useful. The other one is called Protective Dash, which is complete immunity from damage for 5 seconds and healing for 60% over 5 seconds. So, basically, if you see one of your friends getting their ass kicked, you just switch over to your kid mode, jump through them to heal them, which avoids the necessity to play as like Trinity or a support frame. You can just do this as any frame at all, and then they won't die. The other perk to this is you could use it on your own frame. You just go out, enter void mode, dash through yourself, and you'll regain 60% of your health, which is amazing considering how few ways there are to heal. There's Life Strike, support frames, life pads, which, I mean, they're there, but why on earth would you waste resources if you could do a free option, and then Protective Dash. Oh, and Arcane Nourish. Yeah, it's a newer one for the quills, but it kind of sucks. It's literally 10 health a second, which is nice, but you got to stay in kid mode the whole time, so who cares? All right, back to it. Oh, that's the other perk. This Mending Unity is amazing for Trin users because her ult goes off of affinity share range. So, highly recommend having Mending Unity if you're playing as a Trin. Unaru, it could have been great. So what this does, and this is like one of the few things, damage taken as a Trin to the attacker, which, that's nice. It's useful, I guess. Just not in current Warframe. Like, because the whole time, it's not damage, like, negated from you and then returned to the attacker. You're still taking the damage, and by the time you're at level, like, 30, all of the enemies have, like, 2,000 health anyway. So, this isn't going to do a whole lot for you. I want to say it goes up to 95%. Yeah. The other one that used to be nice is, Stone Skin, which it used to go up to 20% armor. Now it gives you 20... or not 20, it gives you like 60 points of armor when max, but 60 points of armor is useless. And yeah, I've never cared at all to get an extra 60 points of armor on my characters. Void mode, that's useless because you gotta keep everyone by you within 10 meters as you're playing as a kid, walking around at the slowest pace in the game. Still pretty terrible. Still pretty terrible. I mean, the Unaru I wouldn't use. I just highly recommend not using it. That might be the only thing right there. Sundering Dash, which I want to say caps out at 50. And then, even that's just a puncture proc. That's not even anything useful. Alright. I'll skip after this. This is just terrible. Unaru sucks. That's my final verdict for Unaru. One day maybe they'll change it again, but they made it horrible. Madarai. At first, like way back before War Within was a thing, and like Madarai was just Madarai. It was the first one. You're like, oh, I get a laser beam, totally. So everyone picked it. It was terrible. Like it was absolutely terrible. But it came out with some of the greatest passives you're gonna find. A straight up buff of 25% to your physical damage and a straight up buff to 25% of your elemental damage. That's huge. That still counts toward crits. That still counts toward anything you can do. That still counts toward status builds. Like if you have a poisoned gun and you're going for poisoning the enemy, it's going to poison them more. It's fairly useful. The other thing that's nice about Madarai is they're really good at hunting Eidolon. Like both of its passives, which you could then wave out and use for your other focus trees, are useful. Increase energy for your amps and void beam by 40%. That's like 8 more shots of just about 8. Actually, no, it's 8 more shots of the shotgun because I think that's 5 a shot. If not, it's 4. Because it's either 5 or 10 per blast. And then that's another 8 grenades from the grenade launcher amp you could get as well. Then the regeneration is also nice. I mean, it's pretty basic. The thing takes forever to regen, so highly recommend those. Like I said, this one doesn't have a whole lot of abilities that matter too much. I mean, that's a ton of energy to burn just to blind people within 4 meters. I mean, I'm sure it caps out at like 10 meters, but still. And that is literally Neja's first. Her one. Or his. Whatever. His, her. Very confused one. Alright. The other thing I'd recommend going for are the waybounds. I mean, obviously, both of these are going to be crazy useful for anything you do. Glazarins are also really useful for Eidolon hunting, not necessarily for standard stuff, because you're still going to die. Like, 4 health a second is not enough to keep your kid alive when you're taking 300 damage a second. Same with his health upgrade, like it goes up to, I want to say, 650. So who cares? Naru, once again, being useless with its increased armor. I mean, the Void Blast probably would be useful, but I use them to increase people. And Madurai, once again, useful. Only for Eidolon hunting, but still useful. And Naramon being mildly terrible by only having movement speed and your Void Dash, which is, the Void Dash is still useful if you have to if you're doing Kuva missions, because you'll jump through an entire room if you have that equipped. All right, that's just a basic rundown of Focus. I mean, I don't know what type of playstyle you guys follow. Naramon I very rarely use. I typically use Zeneric or... That's just the most basic way to explain these. Unaru is terrible. Madurai is good for upgrading your damage. Naramon literally only useful for melee. Zeneric is the best for casters, and Vazarin is the best for support. Done. That's it. There's not a whole lot of complexity to the Focus system anymore. Actually, there never really was. Maybe one day they'll update it again, and it'll be Focus 3.0, and there'll be something really cool, and your kid will actually be powerful. Because literally during the start of the Mastery 24 test, they talk about your kid being one of the most powerful things in the universe, and we die to everything. Ever. So I don't understand why they use that for their description. I mean, I guess we're the greatest Duracell battery ever. We'll last eternity, just giving off void energy because we're radioactive 10-year-olds. But before I continue this rant, I'm going to end this, because if not, I'm going to get cranky and angry. No one's going to like that. Later.